to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, a friend, and the city manager for the city of Henderson, my friend and my fellow Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance board member, Stephanie Garcia-Vause.
Thank you so much for having me, Jaime. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. And as we were turning on the cameras, we reminisced a little bit about how we met when we started working together, and that's a long time ago.
It feels like a long time ago, and it's been a great time. You've been a really good partner to us, and I look forward to continuing our partnership.
We do too. Yeah, we love working with the city of Henderson. You and I have a common boss, and Mayor Michelle Romero, who's awesome. We'll talk about her a little bit later.
We do.
But yeah, I think our staffs, also our teams work together in the many projects that we've partnered on, and so. To get us started, though, today, we like to start the podcast for our listeners, our viewers who don't have the privilege to know you as I do, to get to hear a little bit about you. So let's start by hearing the story about where you were born, where you grew up, went to, elementary, middle, high school, maybe perhaps even your post-secondary work, and take us all the way to your first job.
Okay, sure. So like so many other Las Vegans, I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley. And so when people hear the Valley, they think, oh, the Valley. We might remember some of those things like the Valley Girls,
absolutely.
But it was the other Valley. It was the San Gabriel Valley. If you know where the Rose Bowl is in Pasadena or the Santa Anita Racetrack, just a few minutes away from there. So I grew up there and went to Catholic high school, all girls Catholic high school in Southern California, and then left for the Bay Area. I went to Cal. So I went to University of California at Berkeley.
The Golden Bears.
The Golden Bears. I'm a bear, and I loved it. I had the best time up there. So I spent 4 years up in the Bay Area getting to really appreciate that part of the state. It was great. And then when I graduated from college, the economy wasn't great in California. So I started looking for jobs, and a friend of mine had actually moved to Las Vegas, and he had studied architecture, and his family had moved here to start a small business because they heard, hey, things are booming here. Wow. They had moved from Orange County, and they said they need people here. Like they need people who are motivated and young. And they said, didn't you take a few city and regional planning classes in college? Wow. And I said, yeah. They said, well, they're looking for someone who can do planning. Wow. And so I ended up taking an interview first. And my friends convinced me, because my friend they'd gotten married, and they convinced me, come take the interview. They'll fly you out, spend a weekend in Las Vegas. Even if you don't want the job, just come visit.
Was the job with Las Vegas or Henderson?
It was actually with a developer.
Wow.
And so the developer, will fly you out, spend the weekend with us, just have fun. Even if you don't want the job. I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah, sounds great.
Free trip. Yeah. And then they offered me a job, and I got to see what it was like to live in Las Vegas. And the cost of living back then was fabulous. And housing. Yeah, exactly. Wow. All of that. So I said, why not? So I worked for the developer for a little bit, but I was out in the field in the community negotiating projects and working with the neighbors as new development was happening. You can imagine, just as it is today, when development comes, when people think they have built their home on the edge of the city, and then now here we come to develop something. They're like, no more development. And so I would be negotiating deals, and sometimes it got a little dicey, but I got to experience the Planning Commission and the Las Vegas City Council and the county commissioners representing projects, and it was so much fun. But I found myself having a moment of, is this what I want to do forever? And my father had worked in the public sector. So I applied for a job at Henderson, and I got it. And then the rest is sort of history.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year did you join the city of Henderson?
I joined the city of Henderson in December of 1994.
Wow. You've been there a long time.
I have. I've celebrated 30 years, which is hard to believe sometimes.
That's awesome. Yeah. So tell us, how does one, start in the city of Henderson? And I'm sure, or maybe I'm wrong, that day you didn't think one day I will be the city manager.
Nope.
But what does that look like when what does that journey look like joining and then one day becoming the city manager? What is that like? What's that journey like?
Well, it's interesting because I wanted to see what the public sector was like working in it. And really my goal was, because remember, I only came here on a whim. Mm-hmm. I came here just because, it was a free trip and then it was a kind of fun job. But I really planned to only stay at the city for 2 years, save money, bank as much as I could so that I could go back to grad school full time and not be a poor student. So many of us know what it's like when you're working in school and, going to school at the same time and doing all those things. I thought I'll put some money aside so I can have a little cushion and go back to grad school and feel like I have a little bit of a bank account and not be asking for money or, working so hard. And I found that the city of Henderson was such a great place. The culture was fabulous. It was one that was encouraging. If you were motivated, you could ask to do more. And I was given so many opportunities. I think there was that sweet spot of time where there were so many opportunities and the city was growing. I think we had, maybe 150,000 people back then. I mean, it wasn't the city it is today. Yeah. And there was so much potential. So, coming in, I worked answering planning questions, doing mapping, doing permitting, those types of things. And when you distinguish yourself and you keep working hard, you get different opportunities. And so the 2 years went by and I was having fun. And then I found out the city would pay for part of my tuition. So I went back to UNLV, got my master's in public administration. And, the city helped pay for that, which was fabulous, which kept me here. And one job, an experience led to another. I had the experience of going to Carson City to be one of our legislative advocates for 3 sessions. And what an eye-opening experience that was. It gave me a bigger framework as how the city works and the interdependencies and how we all have to collaborate to work together. So when I became director of community development and services, I thought that was the ultimate job. Mm-hmm. And I did that for about a decade. And candidly, I thought I would retire. Mm-hmm. I thought I've got young kids. We'll talk about that maybe later, yes. But I thought I can retire and this will be great. And then someone who I know and respect, Richard Derrick, was appointed city manager. And he said, I want you to consider coming upstairs with me. And it was a big decision to make because I knew my job and knew all those things in community development. And so he tapped me to do that. And then yet again, I think I was getting towards a point where I thought, maybe it's time to go. And the timing worked out pretty well. And I was selected and appointed city manager.
Yeah, succeeding Richard.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How many, it doesn't have to be an exact number, but again, from your first job to the city manager, is there about 4, 5, 6 positions or more?
Yeah. So probably about 5 or 6 different positions that I went through.
It's a long journey.
It was a long journey. And, like most things, it is a journey and not every day's ever been the same. Not every day is perfect. And sometimes, you've got to figure out those challenges along the way and learn how to get through them. But I've had a really great supportive environment and great mentors, great bosses, and colleagues sometimes. So it's been a fun place.
Let's talk about that next because I think, and that probably now that I listen to it, it's probably prepared you to be a fantastic city manager because you have had that varied experience within the city. And so I think that's why you were perfect for this role. And as you said, we both get to enjoy an amazing boss. Mayor Michelle Romero is awesome. And, I just thought about it because last time I sat down with Richard, we took her to lunch. So you and I are going to have to do that.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, we're going to have to schedule that. But tell us, of all the things that you do, because you get to interact with the mayor and the other members of the council, you get to, you have your executive team and the departments that have to execute that vision for the city. Yeah. You have to interrelate, as you said, with other municipalities, like other cities, counties, the state. What is your favorite parts of the job?
Well, one of my favorite parts is definitely working with our mayor. You mentioned it, we share that boss, and she and I have worked together for 30 years. So we have known each other. Awesome. I talk about how when her children, who are now having children, she has grandchildren, they would come into the office and they would sit at the table and their feet wouldn't touch the floor. And so we've known each other for a long time. And now her grandchildren might fit that bill.
Yeah.
But she is a fabulous boss and mentor. And we were colleagues. And now we get to continue to work together in another capacity.
That's awesome.
And so she's been wonderful. And we share this, she's a champion for those things she really believes in. Mm-hmm. And she's friendly to the business community and wants to see everyone succeed. Being that hometown woman, I think really plays into that. So when you ask, what are some of my favorite parts of the job? I think it's because no 2 days are ever the same. Mm-hmm. It is never boring. There's always something exciting going on. And, we've got such a dynamic city and over 3,000 employees.
Wow.
And over, 350,000 residents too. So there's always something exciting happening. I think one of my favorite parts though is getting to see this bigger picture and having that sort of big view of what's going on. And you mentioned this, having worked at that department level and even answering, the front planning questions at the front desk, I can relate to some of our employees who are in those positions. Yep. And then even being that middle manager where you have to balance what your director wants and your employees. So having some of those shared experiences, I think is really helpful. And then along the way, making all those friendships and relationships in the organization. So I know who to call. I know how things get done. I know how to get work done. But one of the great things that I also got to experience working in community development was some of the regional work. So when the legislature in, I think it was 97 and 99, they created the Southern Nevada Strategic Planning Authority, the SNSPA. And Mayor Gibson was the chair of that. Wow. So we as staff were supporting that. And that was my first sort of experience working with all the different regional partners. Wow. From, elected officials to, business leaders, community leaders and organizations. And, what a great leader to learn under as well and to have worked with.
You went back 4 mayors.
It has been. And so when you say working with them, and so many of our elected officials had come from planning commission. So, Jerry Schroeder, Deborah March, Dan Shaw, Dan Stewart now. Yep. So many more had come through as planning commissioners. So having worked in that planning background, we got to know them. And one of the things that I think is really special for us is that relationship that staff has with our elected officials. We work collaboratively together. We have high levels of trust. They know we're going to execute. Those are my favorite things, I think.
That's awesome.
I could keep talking.
No, it's good. I love it because, as you know, we've had, Richard here and Mayor Romero and others. And for me as a Henderson resident now, my kids were born there. They were raised, they went to school at Bob Miller and Greenspun and Green Valley and Coronado. And when a few years ago, I had the privilege to go testify at City Hall when back then they were talking about what today is the Lee Family Forum, this amazing pro sports arena in the middle of our city, which was amazing. I thought, wow, we've come a long way. And of course, what's happened in on Water Street, what's going to happen at the Fiesta site, pickles and chicken. You can just go on and on and on about, how the city has changed since I was there.
Completely.
So I can imagine that you being on the inside and seeing that vision before any of us residents know it is got to be satisfying when it comes to fruition.
It totally is. And you mentioned a couple of my favorite things. The arena, Lee's Family Forum. What a fabulous addition to our community. Mm-hmm. And my favorite thing is going to those games, going to the Silver Knights games, but seeing people walking from the community. Yes. And that was actually one of the reasons why Carrie Buboltz mentioned we had a watch party at the old pavilion. Yeah. And he said it was great. People were coming with their wagons and their kids and all coming together. And so what a, centrally fabulous spot. It's walkable. And we already knew we had to make investments in that pavilion because you remember the shade structure had fallen.
Yes.
We were going to have to put a bit of money into it, a lot of money. Yeah. And so when we had the opportunity to come up with a partnership, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. It was great. And we're such a sports city. Yep. You know, our kids who play in all these different leagues, and it was just, you know, a perfect addition. But when you mentioned West Henderson and Chicken and Pickle, that one's a fun story because when I came up to the manager's office, Richard had asked me to come up. One of the first things he asked me to do is find a way to see if we can get Chicken and Pickle here. Wow. And the first call that we made to them was, we scheduled it. We were excited. We came up with all the reasons why they'd want to come here. We had demographics of our community, how many pickleballs we had. The
sport is booming.
Yeah, exactly. And how much our community would love it. Well, we call, and their first answer was, "Oh, Henderson, Nevada? Okay, well, that sounds great. Sounds like you have a great community. If we ever get out there, we'll give you a call."
Wow.
And we're like, disappointment. Yeah. And then fast forward, it was about a year and a half, they had called and contacted Mayor March at the time. Oh. And so Mayor March passes on a note like, "Hey, will you contact them? They sound like they're interested." And we called them. We're like, "Yes." Yeah. They sort of said, "Not yet, right. Maybe someday." So we thought, well, this is great. So we called them and we invited ourselves out to visit them in Kansas City in winter. Mm-hmm. And we invited ourselves and we said, "We're showing up and we're coming to visit you." And they said, "Okay." And we ended up that morning pretty much sealing the deal in terms of being able to move forward, because I want to say we were there by a Wednesday. By Friday, they had a staff person come out and meet us to start taking a look at where we had opportunities. So that's a really fun one. And now, I don't know if you've been out there to play.
You go there and it's packed and fun.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
And it flanks a lot of stuff happening there too, because it's not just that, it's the hospital, it's the Raider, it's everything that you have going on in West Henderson.
It is. And then the field house that's under construction right now, and we should be open by fall of 26. So that's just awesome. A little over a year away. And to see everything happen in West Henderson and, is amazing. And like you said, having been there for so long, I remember when the furthest thing west for Henderson was Seven Hills.
I remember that.
Yeah. And everything else was the desert. Yeah. And I actually got to work on the first land use and transportation plan and the annexation plans when Mayor Gibson was there, where we were annexing land and going door to door to, going door to door to all those people who thought they had bought their homes in the desert to get away from everyone. Yeah. And, here we were saying, "Hey, we're coming to town. We want to annex you." And so seeing how everything has come into place, and I think my favorite project out there, or one of my favorite project, is Haas Automation.
Yes.
And what an amazing project.
That's going up fast too.
It is going up fast. If you haven't been by there, it seems like, every week or two, it looks completely different. Yeah.
Every time I drive by, it looks different. Do you remember also when I moved into my complex, which is on Pebble Road in Pecos, the 215 didn't exist yet. Mm-hmm. And so when they brought the 215 in, one of the things I remember is they filmed one of the Lethal Weapons there.
Yeah.
It was not open to the cars yet, but they were filming and you could hear all the noise and stuff.
I bet you could. Yeah. I bet you could. And then you probably remember when the 215 didn't connect.
That's right.
And it was Lake Mead.
Yeah, that's right.
For a lot of years. Yeah. And it was the fast way to, back then, the Black Mountain Golf Course. Yeah. You could speed out there.
Right. It's just changed so much. Wow.
It has changed.
Yeah, like you said, it used to end there, but now, Green Valley Ranch and so forth, and just all the way up to the, now you can see them climbing the sides of the mountains, right?
Sure can. Yeah. Askaya and soon the big tower is going to be going up, and we have so much going on.
So much. Well, that's our next question. What would you say, we're residents, we're familiar with all that, but for those who are not familiar with Henderson, what would you say are the top priorities for growth and development for the city in the next coming years?
The top priorities for growth and development? I would say that we are, our top priorities, we have city priorities and we have a strategic plan, and we're really proud of that. Really, we want to see continuing our quality of life. And so our strategic plan talks about how, public safety, a high performing public service, economic development, education, livable communities. So we talk about all of these things that are important. So as we grow, it's important for us to take all of those aspects into consideration. And so I think some of our bigger growth areas continue to be, West, Inspirata, getting ourselves closer to the 215 as Haas Automation builds itself out. Yeah. We're going to see more employees coming there and needing more housing out there as well. Yeah. We've got a lot of interest. We always have people coming in, pitching different projects, but not only in that direction, but then towards the El Dorado Valley, really taking a look at more industrial development. So we annexed some of that land that maybe
so past the
railroad path.
Past the railroad path to the right.
Yes, if you are traveling south to the right, we annexed that area. So that area is going to be great for industrial development and, continuing to our economic development and creating those high quality jobs. That's going to be an area across the street from Lake Las Vegas. There's a project going on, a development project with Pulte. They have a name yet to be announced. Wow. So there's a big project there. And Cadence continues to be one of the best-selling master plan communities in the country. Yeah. So we have so much going on. Yes.
That's wonderful. How do you, you just mentioned it, Haas, for example, one of their strategic goals is to bring their supply chain also partners into that area. And like you said, that drives housing, that drives other things. But how would you say that the city, and this probably goes into, what Jared Smith and his team do, but how do you go about attracting, again, those businesses like, Chicken and Pickle and others, and helping those medium, small, let's say even entrepreneurs succeed in Henderson?
Well, our economic development team does a great job. And right now they are partnering with CSN on a Southern Nevada Grows project, really helping build their capacity to grow. And our economic development team and our redevelopment team in particular, they work with them and they try to understand, what are your challenges? How can we help you? How can we help you develop those more savvy skills as entrepreneurs too and small business owners? And I have to tell you, they really go all out and they partner with the chamber. I think they partner with you to help get resources too. And we are committed. We know that small business is really the backbone of our community. We've got these great big employers, but we know that they all are part of the fabric of what makes our city great. Yeah.
Economy, small business.
Exactly. And, I'd be remiss, but so many of our businesses on Water Street in our redevelopment area are small businesses. We've seen a few of them successfully launch. They may have incubated in Water Street. I think there was a Bubbles shop that had been on Water Street for a long time, and then they made it bigger time to Town Square, and I think they've gone other places. So, we want to, now that there's a lot more going on Water Street, hopefully we're able to attract more of that, especially with all the units coming in with Watermark, and we expect that vibrancy to just get even better.
It is so vibrant when you drive on Lake Mead there Parkway, and then you make the right on Water Street. I remember I used to always look at the sandwich shop that was right there in the corner.
Yeah.
But as a food option, as maybe one of the few, but now there's unlimited food. I mean, you can turn that corner and it's like...
It's hard to pick.
Yeah, hard to pick. Great restaurant after great restaurant after great restaurant.
You can get your barbecue at Biscuits and Bourbon. Juan's. You can go to Juan's Flaming Fajitas. Yeah. That's one of all of our favorites. Yeah. And awesome. You can keep going south and you can... I don't know if you've been to Azura, Cucina Italia.
On the left side, right?
If you're going south on the right, there's Chinitas.
Oh, yes.
It's right near the coffee shop. Public Works coffee shop.
Yes.
And
past the city.
Past the city hall.
That's right.
If you haven't been there, you need to go try that too.
Awesome.
But you have to try everything.
Yeah. And that's the good news. I think that you don't get tired of it. There's just so much new things to try there, which is awesome. One of the other ones I like is that Biscuits and Bourbon.
They're fabulous.
Yeah, that was good too.
They're great.
So many options.
You can pick anything you want. And then some of the old school places have been there for a while, like Rainbow and Emerald Island, that have just been mainstays for so long.
That's, I think, another very peculiar and interesting thing about our city, that while it's modernizing, evolving, growing, it also remains, or it still retains a part of that old charm of old Henderson, you know? And I think that's really neat because, and I heard you say very loud and clear, is the reason I think why I have remained there even after my kids have grown up. The quality of life is really high. And knowing that the city plans around that is really, I think, satisfying as well.
It really is. And I'm a resident, and this is where I'm choosing to raise my kids too, for probably the same, reasons so many do. We've got great parks. We've got great trails. The city and the city council has been committed to education and really educational choice. And although we're not the Clark County School District, but our Parks and Rec team is in there for before school and after school programming. And we're always trying to find ways to enrich those programs. We have a partnership with AmeriCorps. So we're doing, a lot more educational programming in the afternoons to help with that time that kids are spending with us so that we can do those things. And we are just I love our city.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can tell that.
But it's obvious. And I think also as a resident and your friend, but the city is lucky to have you too now, that position, Stephanie.
Thank you, Jaime. I appreciate it.
I'm glad that you're staying to serve. I know that you could leave, like you said, if you wanted to, but we're lucky that you're staying. Tell me also one thing that you and I get to do together is serving on the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance Board. What do you enjoy about your experience there?
Really, one of the things is to hear firsthand some of the companies that are coming.
Yeah.
And I think I got that from Richard. He would always say, what's coming? I want to hear what's happening. And let's see if we can get them to Henderson. Let's see if they fit our DNA. And so I think going into it with that mindset of, what are those opportunities and how are we helping transform our community? So often we were thought of, at least in Henderson, is that bedroom community. But how are we diversifying our economy so more people can have quality jobs to stay in Henderson? So that's one of the great things. But then also the opportunities to network and hear what's going on. What are other people doing across the community? Talking to my colleagues, not only in the public sector, but in the private sector. What challenges are they having and how can we help fix them? Because one of the things I think we are is a very supportive community, and we like to get things done. And you can see that with things like Lee's Family Forum or, where our VGK, our Silver Knights practice, and at America First Arena in downtown, or even just development projects. We like to get things done. And so if there are any stumbling blocks, it's great to hear what can we do to help facilitate things. That's
good. Yeah, I like that too. I think with so much coming, what's going to happen at the Fiesta, right? The Field House, as you said. But Haas is going to be a game changer because of the kind of global company they are, Who would have known? Again, I think Henderson has made great strides in that economic development.
And one of the things, now you'll have to remember, the first time we visited them and when we first got them to come here, it was pre-pandemic.
In Oxnard, right?
In Oxnard, yeah. We went to Oxnard and we went to visit, and they have a great campus out there. Yeah. It's beautiful. And we were walking through their yard because out there they have different circumstances. You can actually work outside and store things outside. Yeah. They don't have the heat we do.
Right.
But we were walking around and they had all of this equipment, these big, CNC machines on pallets. And I asked the question, where do you do business? And, where are some of the places that you do? And they said, it would be easier for us to tell you where we don't do business. Wow. And they rattled off just a handful of places. So then they walked us through and you could see all of the shipping labels all over the world.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we had talked about was because they're an international company, they're able to weather economic storms. And then who would have guessed a worldwide pandemic would have hit?
I know.
That made people wonder what's going on.
Yeah. That slowed down the move.
It did. It slowed down the move. But once they got everything back on track, you can see, we talked about how fast they're going up.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
If you drive by there once a week or once every 2 weeks, it catches your attention. That wasn't there.
That's exactly it. I went on vacation and we came back from vacation and I just said, what happened?
Yeah. It's growing fast.
Yeah, it is growing fast.
So we're going to start to inch away from your professional life and towards the family, as you said. We're going to get to that. But before there, let's make a stop in the middle. We've noticed also that you take the time to serve and volunteer on multiple boards, nonprofits. Tell us a little bit about why that's important to you.
It's important to me. It's probably been ingrained in me since I was young. My dad worked for the city of Los Angeles and worked on different CDBG projects. Mm-hmm. So I was introduced to the Boys and Girls Club at a young age, and even Catholic charities and the soup kitchens. And so when I was young, we would go, and there were Thanksgivings where before we had real Thanksgiving, we were helping in the soup kitchen, chopping vegetables or doing whatever we needed to do, or holiday mornings or even non-holidays. But having that sense of giving back to others has always been important. And so as I've grown, I volunteered in college, and then so it became natural to find opportunities. So I was able to serve on the Boys and Girls Club board for a long time. And then I was on the Hope Link board, all organizations that do really great work in the community. I volunteer with my church and my daughter's school. Schools always need help, right?
Yeah.
And so I am always ready to volunteer for whatever they need, and also serve on our advisory council for our school, and try to find ways to do that. But it's important because a community isn't just one thing, and a community isn't just government, but it's all these components all working together who all want to see that great quality of life and support all individuals, whether they're kids, adults, anyone in need. And so it is really important to me.
That's awesome stuff. And again, this is why we're lucky to have you in this position now.
Thank you.
So let's get to that family. And when you're not working, which you have a big job, you work long hours whenever needed. You also, again, find time to volunteer in our community in meaningful ways, as you've explained. But then you do have a family. And so
I do.
When you're with them, how do you enjoy life? What hobbies, activities you like together? Tell us a little bit about that part of your life.
Sure. I've got a great husband who's really understanding and helpful all the time. And so he's a great partner. And then I've got two daughters, a sophomore and a seventh grader. So you can imagine they keep me on my toes.
Yes.
And we like to do a lot of different things. So living in this great valley, there's so many opportunities. Yes. Some things they love to do, or that we all love to do, are shows at the Smith Center. Mm-hmm. We love to go see musical theater or theater productions and those types of things. So we have a great time doing that. Or there's so many on the Strip and opportunities. I just got a few tickets to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere.
That's next week, right?
Yeah, it's coming up.
The big premiere.
Yes, they don't know yet.
Okay,
but
nice.
So it's a surprise family night.
Very
but
nice.
We're going to take them to go see that. But finding things to do here is not hard.
Yes.
So
lucky.
We are really lucky to do that. But with Chicken and Pickle coming, I had never played pickleball. But until we went to go visit in Kansas City, and they said, well, you're here, you have to try it out. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So I find myself, we play pickleball, and it's a great family thing.
Yes.
And it's close by. It's such a fun place to go to. So we have picked up pickleball together as a family. But I sometimes love reading. One of the things to decompress when I have that quiet time, it's usually before anyone's awake in the house. I'll be out in my garden. I've been trying to grow roses for the last few years, and I didn't have a good year last year. I killed a lot.
Is it the heat?
It's the heat, and I don't know. I probably put too much fertilizer in or something, but I probably didn't do exactly what I was supposed to. But I learned, and my flowers this year are beautiful, and it's been so much fun to see my garden grow that way. So
you didn't have to add additional structure or watering, misting systems. You just figure out a better food system for them?
I have, and so it seems to be working. And but the flowers have been gorgeous this year.
That's awesome.
And so it's a nice peaceful time. And I'll usually leave my phone inside the house, so I'm not picking up the phone, getting phone calls. So we'll do that. But we love to travel too. And one of our favorite places is a little spot in La Jolla. And we usually get there every summer. This year we changed it up though, and we went to Europe. So we got away and found that we fell in love with Spain. We just absolutely fell in love.
Which piece, close to France or close to Italy?
We were Seville was where we had the best time. We went to Madrid and Segovia and a couple of other little places, but Seville, I think, just kept our heart, and we had so much fun. We got to London and Paris too, but I have to tell you, the people and the food and just the quaintness was just lovely.
Awesome. Did you get to do a little bar hopping where they serve you the food?
We did a little bit of that, yes, and so that was fun. Yeah. But you can imagine with young girls, they preferred the churros and chocolate.
Sure.
That is their staple for breakfast. Nice. And we had lots of that. So,
but people here think, like over there, I'm sure you had them. The sardines there are not like what we think of sardines here.
They're not. Yeah. They still look a little different, so I'm not a big sardine fan, but you're right. There are so many of them.
Yeah. Here is, open a can. Yeah. But over there, it's a different thing. And they come on the little fancy toast and on this, on that. It's awesome. Wow, that's great trip. And the family enjoyed it. Yeah. That's awesome. One of the things, since you're talking about young people and you do have young daughters, I sometimes wonder all that we learn now as adults of our life, all the times we've fallen and dusted ourselves off and, learn things. I often wonder, if I could have had that knowledge at 18, how much different my life would have been. But then I remember that 18-year-old probably would have listened anyway.
Yes.
But if you could impart wisdom and knowledge, what the things that have made you, again, had this amazing career where you moved here and you started at a city and eventually became the city manager, what advice would you give an 18-year-old to say, if you're interested in public service, is there any golden nuggets that you can share with them?
Oh, yeah. Similarly, I remember thinking I knew everything. And I remember hearing advice from my parents who, once I left for college and came back, suddenly they became smarter, or I realized I didn't know everything. Yeah. But I would definitely share, some of the things I wish I'd known along the way. But see every relationship, like make friends along the way, and see every relationship as something that you can learn from, and don't make enemies along the way. I think sometimes when you're young, you might think you know it all, and you might want to be right, and not necessarily think, well, how can I be more effective, or listen to that. But if somebody's willing to give you feedback along the way, pause and listen. Even if you don't necessarily agree with the feedback, stop for a minute, think about it, pause and see is there something I can learn from that. And along the way, someone even shared with me, sometimes you might have a boss that you don't care for, but what can you then learn not to do? And sometimes, along your path, and maybe because I had been with the city for a long time and learned the hard way, you don't know who might be your boss someday. Yeah. And you don't know. So if you trailblaze and say what first comes to your mind, maybe, and tell people what you might want to share, maybe take a pause because you don't know what circumstances are going to change or how you might need to work with each other at a later time. So take a breath and think about that, but build those relationships. Education is so important. I think that was really one of the contributing factors to me being able to have this position now. And then if you work hard and then take part and take ownership in your future. I remember going to a director when I was fairly new and told her, I want to do XYZ. And she said, well, that's great, Stephanie. I can help you with one of these things. You're not in a management or supervisory position, but one of the things she actually recommended was work with your professional organizations, find opportunities to also volunteer in your professional organizations. So I became a member of APA. I have been in ULI, and I've been one of the district council chairs. I have my ICMA credentialed manager. But in those organizations, if you can lead a volunteer organization, sometimes it's like herding cats. Yeah. People don't have to be there, and you're asking them to do things. You're asking them to do extra. But if you can't develop those skills in your workplace, find opportunities to develop those skills that you can bring back to the workplace and either share your knowledge about what's going on in your organization with them, or maybe bring back some of those things to your own organization. So, I think, don't burn bridges and seek opportunities. Let people know, declare what you want to do, and then work hard at it. I think that's why I got tapped to go to Carson City, which I think that was a really big turning point in my career, to be able to see all the different departments and how we all work together. So I think those are some of those things. Yeah,
that's great advice. A lot of rich content there. Stephanie, as we near the end of the podcast, we like to give the mic, if you will, to our guests to share. In your case, with the city of Henderson, is there any upcoming events? And I know there are always, pavilion watching parties, parades, Main Street, there's all this stuff happening. So what would you like to share with our audience? And also make sure before we leave, let's give them, we're going to put it on the screen, but tell us a website where they can go, find out.
Perfect. Well, if you go to cityofhenderson.com, you're going to see a couple of things. In September, we have Hot Rod Days, which is our biggest car show. And it is so much fun to see all the classic cars. And there's music and bands and food. And it is just a perfect opportunity to come out and see. So definitely that. One of my favorite programs, though, in December is the Winterfest Parade. Have you ever been? Yeah. And it's great. And I think because it's a little piece of almost small town Americana that still exists in our bigger city, but you see the kids marching, you see the adults coming out and doing their floats, their lit up floats. And so it's such a fun thing to do, to watch all the different parade floats come in and the marching bands. And it's one of my favorites. And that comes up typically the first Friday in December. So those are a couple of the big things.
That's one of the things I meant about the small city charm that it makes.
That was one of my first experiences when I had gotten to the city, going to the parade. And it reminded me a little bit of the town I grew up in. And even though Los Angeles is big, I grew up in the suburbs with a small town that would have the little local parade for the Camellia Festival and things like that. And everybody would march in and they'd end up at the park and have a big party. So it just reminded me of that. And in one of those first parades, the fire truck came down. It was a brand new fire truck back then. And I just thought, how cool is this that we've got the fire truck, because everybody's so excited about the new truck. But those are big things. And then at the end of this year, next year, you're going to really be hearing about a parks bond that is really important to us. And so one of the things that I think makes our community so special is that we have so many great parks and recreation facilities and trails that connect them. Well, 30 years ago, we had visionary leaders who took a chance on the city, and we were able to pass a parks bond to help really build these, to facilitate the building of the parks. Well, the NRS requires, that you have to come back after 30 years. So it's coming back up. So you'll see that on the ballot coming up in spring, summer. I think spring's the filing date, and then summer will be the election. But one of the unique things about this is because as this park bond comes back, if you vote to retain it, it's not going to increase your taxes. And so if you vote to not support it, it doesn't decrease your taxes, because those of us who have homes and own property in Henderson, because of the property tax caps, your tax rates are going to stay the same.
No fiscal impact on the taxpayer.
No fiscal impact on the taxpayer. in a negative way, but it would be a huge fiscal impact to the city to lose those resources that go right into our parks and recreation programs. And so knowing that it really is for those existing property owners, it's really neutral because that tax would just go somewhere else. You're probably going to be hearing things like keep it in Henderson, keep the money here. That's what we'd like to do to continue all the great work that we've done. We're a national Baldrige award-winning city, only one of 5 in the country and the biggest. But I think that's a testament to the great work that we do, day in and day out for our residents and the value that we bring them.
Well, you got my vote for the
good.
retain.
Well, I'm not lobbying you for any votes, but I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, as a resident, I know the value. I see it. I've seen it over 30 something years. Yeah. And I also, last time, a couple of issues were up, which I think went really well. The funding the fire houses, right? And the libraries, I think, was on the ballot last time, right?
They were. And I know those were victims of sort of the national wave and national trend. Those would have been new taxes. And just knowing the way things went across the state and even the country, it was a really challenging time. Yep. So, unfortunately, those didn't work. But we're hoping because so many people use it, from our seniors to our preschoolers, and everyone in between uses our parks and recreation facilities. And knowing that it is tax neutral, you're for those existing homeowners, your tax is going to remain the same.
Great point.
It's just, where does that money get, channeled to? Is it going to stay in Henderson, or is it going to go to somewhere else?
So as you said, it's really important over the next few months that narrative is framed correctly. People are educated.
Yes, definitely. So we're going to want to be sharing with our friends and neighbors, just because it is such a great opportunity for us.
Well, let's have you back when we're in the new location, and we'll do an episode and we keep talking about it.
Well, let's do that.
Awesome.
This has been great.
Yeah, Stephanie, thank you for stopping by again. You have a big job, a busy schedule, but the fact that you drove means a lot to me. Thank you for visiting us.
Thank you for inviting me too. This has been fun, Jaime. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at a future one. Until then, stay safe. Thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
All right. Our first segment is called Your Favorite. So I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to give me your favorite thing in that category.
Okay.
Let's start with an easy one. What's your favorite food?
Mexican food.
Your favorite beverage with dinner?
Oh, probably water.
Favorite dessert?
Margarita. Sorry.
Margarita, yeah. That's mine.
I'm being honest.
Your favorite dessert after dinner?
Cheesecake.
Your favorite thing to bake at home?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Your favorite musical group or artist?
Tom Petty.
Your favorite mystery author or book series?
Alex Cross is Alex Cross.
Nice.
My favorite character.
Your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Your favorite college sports team?
Cal Bears.
Your favorite professional sports team?
Golden Knights.
Very good. Carrie Bubos will be proud. Our friend Carrie. Very good. You made it through the first segment, no problem. The second one gets a little harder because it's called Tough Choices. So I'm going to give you 2 choices, and hopefully you can pick one. If you're forced, you can tell me both. That's okay. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
When you go to your vacation, you stay in a hotel or Airbnb?
Hotel.
When you retire one day, Stephanie, I hope it's not too soon, will you retire in the city or on a ranch?
In the city.
If you had a day off by yourself and you could choose, would you like to spend it by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
Ocean.
If you were a superhero, would you rather have the ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Any foreign language.
Truth or kindness?
Kindness.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Justice or grace?
Grace.
Those were tough, huh?
Those are tough.
Yeah, you did well. You made it through the second segment.
They're right answers?
No, there's no right, wrong. These are all personal. The last segment is called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you about 90% of a sentence. You're going to finish it for me.
Okay.
If Stephanie could visit any place in the world, it would be?
Could visit any place in the world. Morocco.
I thought you were going to say Seville, but I like Morocco too.
I've been there and yeah.
The best part about living in Henderson is?
our great parks.
Stephanie's favorite thing about her job as the city manager is?
No 2 days are the same.
And if Stephanie could travel back in time, she would travel to?
The Civil War time?
Wow.
Probably, yeah.
Very cool. 3 words that describe Stephanie are?
Oh my goodness. See, something popped into my head. Driven, sometimes patient, caring.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Very good. And doing the WC podcast here with us today was?
Super fun.
Awesome. Stephanie, thank you for staying over to do the bonus segment with us.
Oh, thank you.